take a few moments to drop into our body consciousness, allowing ourselves to pull our attention out of the thinking mind and bring ourselves into the presence within the body. Feeling through the body, becoming very present in our sensations rather than caught up in thinking. Letting go of that mental mind as we ease our way into the body. Allowing our breath to sink. Allowing ourselves to feel the resonance identification with the state of existence. Resting in our existence. Allowing existence to be that which supports us. Enabling the physical mind to relax, to ease any tension or desire to control. Letting existence support us. Allowing ourselves to feel into that state of existence which inherently comes with a deep sense of value, for we are a part of all that is. And as such, we have built-in value. We are a valuable piece of the all that is. And all that is could not be all that is without our existence within it, without us being the unique puzzle piece that we are within creation. And creation does not make pointless things. Therefore, our existence has inherent value as an integral part of all that is. We can rest in that existence, feeling the connection to ourselves and the connection to all that is. And even while we might have the experience of disconnection from time to time, and while we are allowed to have that experience, it is only possible because inherently and unconditionally we are given that free will to explore any and all aspects of consciousness, including the experience of disconnection, but that is possible because we are connected to the all that is. And to this we can always return. Good day to you. We welcome you to the realms of light, where the vast majority of who you are also exists. We welcome you to the realms of light from where your physical life, your physical personality, and your entire physical world also springs. We welcome you to this connection between the channel's higher mind and the channel himself, which represents a kind of archetypal connection that you all are remembering to have within yourselves. therefore as a reflective mirror, as a way to relate. This will be a reflection of the relationships you all are developing with your own higher minds. Thusly, as has been said in the introduction, it is a kind of nudging in the right way, or a permission slip too, for each and every one of you to make that connection that already exists, but that has been severed by the negative beliefs that have been handed to you from your society. For you have been trained away as children, away from communications with the invisible portions of who you are. And sometimes even by well-meaning parents who wanted you to fit in because they wanted you to have a good experience of life. They perceived that helping you to, so-called, by their definitions, ground you into this realm by disconnecting you from what they labeled as fantasy realms, will somehow help you to ground you in the physical reality. But inadvertently, well-meaning parents often ground their children in third density, cutting them off from the non-physical, invisible portions of who they are. And on for generations, this has been passed down for thousands of years, but now is the age of awakening, as you know. Therefore, you all are remembering, reconnecting, remembering those ancient connections that you do have to your souls and your oversouls. The rigid barriers that have been erected for thousands of years are beginning to give way. What appeared previously as brick walls is appearing more like a rice paper. And you're realizing that what previously have been rigid structures containing and constraining your personalities are but conventions that can be bent or dissolved, if that is in keeping with the theme of your life. And we will tell you that many of your themes upon your planet at this time is to dissolve those boundaries. Thusly, it is becoming increasingly relevant to have perceptions outside of the old frameworks of third density, for you are learning to translate more of your higher mind into your physicalized selves, and as you do so, with it will come the perceptions outside of the usual framework of consciousness that you had been accustomed to and socialized into. You will notice more bleed-throughs, whether in your dream states or in your physical dream of your physical life. You will notice the expansion of perception. It is as if you have been working in one of those cubicle type corporations, cubicle farms, we believe you sometimes say humorously. And you're beginning to peek over the borders of the cubicles and learning to see that it is not just you in an isolated universe. You're actually part of a much larger organization. Therefore, as the higher mind's perspective bleeds into the physical mind's perspectives, you will often get that bird's eye view, that vantage point from above, and you'll see that you are not just you in the cubicle you've known your reality and your entire world to be, but there are many cubicles. There are many parallel lifetimes. Concurrently, you are existing as a portion of a much larger identity. And you are learning to peek over those cubicle walls and to have conversations with those other versions of yourself. And you're recognizing that those cubicles are there for convention only, as a convenience to have a focalized, specialized consciousness, but you are not bound to those walls that you yourself have created. You can and you have that freedom to peek over any walls that you choose, and you have the freedom to lift your consciousness to see the totality of all the cubicles simultaneously. As your oversoul perceives it. Therefore have trust in the nature of your beings. Boldly go into the unknown for, and the unknown you will discover only more of yourselves. And allow the expansion of your consciousness to reveal not only the splendor of your true identity, but also the limitations that have rigidized the conventions of the walls, the cubicles. Allow those negative beliefs to be stretched. And as they are stretched, allow them to be brought to the light of your consciousness. For each time that you do so, you give yourself the opportunity to make that which is unconscious conscious, so that you can work with it in a conscious way. Allowing yourself to fully embrace the experience that you're having. For if you rail against the negative portions or the negative beliefs within your personalities, you will introduce a negative vibration into your field, and so you will enable those portions of yourself, those negative beliefs, to feel right at home. Thusly, you will not change, even while they are attempting to force change to happen. For you cannot achieve with a negative vibration a positive integrative state of consciousness. Thusly, it is through embracing all that is negative, allowing it to be there for it is part of all that is, and if you deny any portion of all that is, you deny portions of yourselves. So embrace yourselves. Embrace all portions, even those that you might have previously judged or labelled or perceived as abhorrent or severely limiting. It is through that integrative process, which is a positive vibration, that you can allow those portions to either take upon that positive vibration that you're emanating, the positive vibration of integration, or to shift out of your experience, because negative vibration will not feel at home in the presence of the positive vibration that you're putting out. And we say that somewhat in terms that you will understand from your vantage point, from a certain point of view. For ultimately it is all a game of integration, and the integration includes all that is positive, all that is negative. As your consciousness expands, you will expand equally into the positive and into the negative, as well as the neutral field in between. Thusly, do not be surprised that consciousness expansion includes both that which is positive, that which is negative, for all that is contains both positive and negative. It is the negative beliefs that you choose to believe to be true that will cause you to choose the experience of the negative. However, you are not bound to the experience of the negative. You can simply perceive it in a neutral way. For when you have the positive belief of self-empowerment and connection to all that is, you will know that you are the one that chooses. You will feel the flow of the power of all that is through you, and you will recognize that you can choose the experience that you prefer, regardless of how much negativity and positivity you perceive as your consciousness continues to expand outward. It becomes a simple choice. Even as you choose the flavor of your ice cream, you will choose the flavor of the beliefs that you run your energy through. It all becomes a simple choice. Now you are rapidly moving to an age of, we might call it the age of enlightenment, the age of integration. Therefore, more portions of your personalities will be coming to the surface. You will encounter strange and alien new worlds, not only without, but truly within, for the external is a reflection of the internal. And while some of your science fiction films have, in a sense, been preparing you for what is to come, they have but only scratched the surface of the splendor of the universe that awaits you as consciousness explorers. For even if you knew 1/10 of 1% of the splendor of your being, you would be completely awestruck. For the infinite, by definition, is vast. But do not feel yourself to be small within the vastness of all that is, for you are that integral part of it. All that is would cease to be all that is had you not existed, which is not possible because existence only has one state, which is to exist, to be. So there is no not to be. Being is its own quality, and that is all that it knows and all that it is. Thus the you are existence. Trust your existence, trust your integral part within the grand orchestration, within the grand symphony of all that is. Your note is valuable in a way that cannot be captured by any other being in this universe or any other universe, for you are inherently unique. The being that you emanate, the portion of all that is that you are, can never be duplicated by any portion of all that is in any system of reality. Whether you label it past, present, or future, or sideways in time, or outside of time altogether, in any dimension, you are unique. Therefore rejoice in the uniqueness of your being, in the uniqueness of who you are. For the way that you touch a life cannot be touched by any other life. The way that your words can bring healing to another can be brought by no other to that being. It is you. It is your vibration. So embrace the beingness that you are. Embrace the song and sing the song of your being. For creation longs to hear the note that you came to play. Allow the resonance of your being to spread out in all directions and infuse that beingness into the actions that you take in your life. Become transmuters of energy, bringing the higher dimensional frequency of who you are through your actions, grounding it into the physical plane. And watch the chain reaction and your time-space reality play out before you. That old saying, each one teach one. For each time each one of you chooses to act on your passion, to materialize who you are through the actions that you take in the physical realm, you give each other permission to do the same. Thusly you will notice, you will give the opportunity of choice by demonstrating the vibration of truly being your highest self by acting on your passion. You will give them an opportunity to make that choice for themselves. And while everyone has their own timetable, their own choices to make, their own experiences, you will have given them a beautiful gift. What they do with it is truly none of your business, for your business is only how you maintain your own vibration, and everybody else has the free will to vibrate wherever they so choose, consciously or unconsciously. Yet each time you act on your passion, each time you follow the formula given by the Sasani civilization, the formula of following your passion to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can with zero insistence on a particular outcome and staying in a positive state no matter what happens. When you follow those simple steps, you allow more of your higher mind self to flow through your physical body, which is translated as passion, which then infuses your life, and your life becomes a beacon of light. And those who are mired in various third density states can see you as a bright shining light, and they have the choice to shift themselves to the reality where they are too shining that light and reflecting that light. Yet that is their choice. You give them a gift, and yet you surrender the outcome, for you are following the formula. Zero insistence on a particular outcome means you have no insistence on how this will play out. For your physical mind does not truly know. Therefore, insistence is a kind of resistance, a kind of holding on to a rigidized template, thusly not allowing the higher mind to orchestrate the synchronicities at speeds faster than the speed of light, for it is calculated in fifth density. The physical mind is not equipped to make such distinctions. Therefore, when the physical mind insists on a particular outcome, you lock the flow of that which can come from the non-physical, from the higher mind, which is operating from the mountaintop. Thusly releasing that insistence of how your life is to play out, how others are to respond, how you are to influence others. Your existence already has all the influence it could ever have, for all time is simultaneous. Therefore, you have already had all the effect in a manner of speaking that you will ever have, for everything already exists, everything is simultaneous. Thusly it is much more about the revelation of that which you are, and to reveal more of who you are, you run more of who you are's energy through your physical being by following that formula, and then it will be revealed to you. The splendor of your being, you will begin to take the veils off and see more and more of who you are. You'll begin to peek above those cubicles and see that you're a much vaster being than you previously supposed you were. And truly there is no end to existence. There's no end to expansion of your awareness of yourself from the unique vantage point that you are. Even while paradoxically we also tell you that everything is simultaneous and already exists. You're shifting your vantage point through that multidimensional crystal of all that is, shifting perspectives, and there is no end to the qualities of perspectives you can have within the infinity of all that is. As some of you have been playing with the tar and tissue capsules, and this is in some ways related because you are learning to shift the boundary that you perceive yourself to be as the unique individuated portion of all that is. Shifting that boundary, compressing it and expanding it, but not only in 3 dimensions but also multidimensionally. Thus you are learning to contract and expand, which these are colloquial terms. You are learning to condense and contract as well as expand the tissue capsule, the boundary of who you define yourself to be, your perception of yourself, shifting it to grander visions as well as compressed visions. You can condense yourself to a very localized, physicalized time-space reality. You can expand yourself to perceive multiple simultaneous parallel lives. You can expand to see into multi-dimensions. You can expand all the way to all that is and perceive yourself as all that is. However, from your unique perspective. Even if you perceive through the eyes of your other aspect selves, you are still perceiving through your unique perspective. And there's infinite variety in play to which you can shift your consciousness within that multidimensional crystal, the infinity of all that is. Now within your lifetimes, you have created certain kinds of themes and certain kinds of parameters within which these explorations will occur. Even while one of the themes upon your planet now is the relaxing of the themes and the ability to shift and change the themes of exploration that has been chosen, colloquially speaking, in time terms, from the spiritual level of who you are. So you have great degrees of fluidity now that previous generations did not have from a collective consciousness standpoint. Now you will experience some periods of great expansion socially as well as personally, as well as the experience of the light shining and revealing all the negativities within yourself as well as within the society as well, the sleep. Do not be alarmed when you go through periods of upheavals, what it is, the negative beliefs you are allowing them to be cleared by being brought to the light so you can work with them consciously, and how you work with them defines the reality that you shift to. For you can use all of that awareness of the negativity in a positive, integrative way so that you shift yourself to the reality whereby that integrative energy reigns and you find yourself in a fluid state of consciousness with positive beliefs framing your experience. Remember that you always have a gateway to the light, no matter how negative anything appears to be. There is always a doorway to the light, even as there is always a doorway to the shadow in terms of negativity, energy that is disconnective within the integrative realm. The difference being that you understand that you have free will and choice in the positive vibration, the integrative vibration, whereas in a negative vibration, you have the perception of being disconnected. Because negative energy is disconnective and segregative, you have that perception that you are disconnected. Therefore, entertaining beliefs such as powerlessness and valuelessness, which you are free to explore because you are unconditionally loved, and so all that is gives you the freedom to explore all consciousness, all states of being. Yet within that state of being, it can appear as if you do not have that doorway to the light accessible, but we assure you always do. No matter how dark and how negative, you always have the potential to choose the light. Now we do feel as if we have given you all a bit of an earful. Thusly at this time we will open to questions. So are there any questions at this time?
Well, I have a question.
Very good.
How would you suggest we work with dreams to reveal simultaneous parallel lives? Is there a way?
Of course there are ways, and you can begin by setting the intention and gently asking your other portions of yourself to reveal themselves to you in the dream time. You can incubate those kinds of dreams if you prefer, and at the same time realize that portion of the formula about zero insistence on a particular outcome. You want to let it be okay that whatever happens is, you trust that it is orchestrated for you. Therefore, if you do open up to those experiences because it is part of your unfolding and is highly relevant at that time. And yet if you do not have the memory of such an experience, and we say memory because you all connect to your other aspects all the time, especially in the dream time, this becomes more apparent. However, not always the memories come through to your physical personality for various reasons. Thusly, allow it to be okay whether you have the memory or you do not have the memory. For if you beat yourself up for not having the memory, you are introducing more negative vibration, and that is disconnective. Therefore, it will be that much more harder, or more, shall we say, not in keeping with the vibration you're introducing, the negative vibration, to have an integrative experience of connecting to more of yourself. Thusly, zero insistence on the outcome will enable you to unlock from the physical mind's definitions of what is supposed to happen, so that you can truly have the experience that is perfectly orchestrated for you without the judgment. So let it be okay, no matter what happens. You can ask your higher mind, you can ask other portions of your being to enable you to have the memory of those connections, and yet you want to relax, be very relaxed about it, and not insist that it happen in any particular way or on any particular timetable. Thusly, without introducing further negative vibration, you will create the field within which you are most likely to have such experiences. You can also in your physical life begin to follow different threads of consciousness. Thusly, if you find yourself having, and this requires a bit of self-awareness, awareness of your mind state, if you find yourself having unusual thoughts, let us preface this by saying you make an intention to observe your physical mind throughout the day, and to be aware of the various time streams, the various strands of consciousness that you're tuning into. And then as you have that awareness, you will recognize that within and throughout your day you have multiple flavors of thought trains, strands of consciousness, and you can learn to follow those and recognize them, for some of them are directly related to your other aspects. Bleed-throughs, as we said, are happening more and more commonly. Thusly, as you live your physical life more like a dream, you will bring that consciousness with you into your dreaming states, as well as when you open up to your aspects in your dreaming self, you will begin to bleed that consciousness, bring that consciousness back into your physical life, which is another dream that you're having. Does this help?
It does. Thank you.
I have a question. When you were going through the exercise about rising above the cubicles,
Yes.
I was able to rise above the cubicles, and I was in awe of what I saw. It looks like I was looking out over top of the cubicles, and each cubicle was like a reality bubble.
Yes.
Of things that I've done or things that were important. It seems like by focusing on an intent, the whole grid would change, and
Yes.
those is am I on the right track here? And is there any other maybe tips or tricks I could use to maneuver in and out of the cubicles?
First of all, the track that you're on is the right track by definition. However, you can learn to shift the tracks as you prefer, but without invalidating the reality that you're in, that you're experiencing. So it is all right, no matter where you are, wherever you find yourself is the right place, because you are there. And yes, you can continue to play with this and let your imagination guide you, for your imagination does connect you to your higher mind. And let it be a playful experience. You are well on your way. You have initiated a process that can continue to unfold within you. Of course, with zero insistence on a particular outcome, thusly the experience you have today might not be the experience you have tomorrow or the next day. It might shift and change. You might find certain days it's very easy, and other days it might feel slightly more opaque, and this is all perfectly fine as it is. But yes, by all means, continue to play with that image And just seeing what unfolds. Be curious. Let the main vibration be curiosity as well as wonder. And continue to explore. You might sometimes feel a bit like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. And this is all well and good, for you will find yourself experiencing various portions of yourself, and as we said, it is a wondrous universe, so by all means continue. And we wish you pleasant journeys in exploring more of yourself.
I have another question.
Yes.
It's probably related because I have a feeling all this is somehow related anyway.
Of course.
The tissue capsule is a Seth term. I don't know what else to call it. And is there any way, any tips and tricks again on how to use it to do things and go places, or what exactly? I know it's a boundary point, but I don't know if it can be used or how it can be used, or if it can be used. If you could go explain it a little bit better, I would appreciate it.
Of course, we will point you in the same direction, which is to allow your imagination to guide you, because you are highly unique. And thus the way your physical mind will interpret the communications of your unique higher mind will be unique and specific to you. Thus we can give generalities. The idea being is that you can practice in a very simple way. You can practice as you meditate to expand the perception of yourself in all directions, and just seeing where that takes you. Now, as you expand it into the view of your cubicles, you are expanding that tissue capsule of what you perceive yourself to be, expanding it to include the other cubicles. You're expanding your field of awareness and the perception of who you are. You can also play with nature. Go out into your forests and your natural places and practice expanding the perception of who you are to reach other sentient beings, the trees, the rocks, for it is all sentient. And practice expanding yourself into the earth, into the sky, into the tree, into the frog, into the stream. See if you can expand the boundary of who you feel yourself to be, allowing yourself to relax the definitions of who you think you are, and flow the boundary of yourself into your environment, for the environment truly is an extension of you. As we have previously said, and has been said by other channels, the idea is that you are learning, you are awakening to the fact that you are the dimension that you previously thought you existed in. Therefore, it is all an extension of you. You are practicing the expansion of your localized consciousness to recognize that it is all you, and all that you can discover is yourself. So these are some ways you can play with the expansion of the boundaries of your self-perception, whether it is a little bit more physicalized to your nature, to your meditation process, or a bit more imaginative and energetic as you do play with the cubicle exercise. These are but just some ways that you can practice the expansion of the field of who you are. In time you will learn that these boundaries are highly fluid, and from your vantage point highly dependent upon the beliefs that you carry about who you think you are within what you think the world is, or what you believe that you are, more accurately, within the world that you believe as it is. So we hope that this sheds a little bit more light.
Yes, thank you.
I have a little question.
A little question. Very good.
Well, I know that we're encouraged to let go of the outcome,
Yes.
and I understand. I also believe that we create our own reality.
Yes.
but I seem to have a conflict of beliefs when it comes to creating, because in my perception of creation, there is an outcome. If I choose to create something, I'm thinking about how it's going to turn out or how it's going to show up.
Yes.
I don't know how to separate them within the same breath of creation and letting go.
It is this and that. And we have expanded upon this just a little bit in the former session. However, we will continue to expand upon it here. The idea being that you use your visualization to get yourself into the proper state of being, to get yourself into the flow of passion and excitement, to get yourself into the vibration of the state that you prefer. And once you achieve, for lack of better terms, once you are in that vibration that you prefer, then you can utterly let go of the specifics of the visualization you used to get yourself there. And as you let go of those, then you open up to allow the higher mind to bring in to that vibration that which matches it, which might be 10 times better than anything you could imagine from the physical plane. Thusly, if you insist it has to happen in a certain way, you are severely limiting the capacity of the higher mind to orchestrate for you many wondrous realities that you cannot even begin to describe and imagine from your physical vantage point. Thusly, the insistence is highly limiting to your higher mind. So use your visualizations. You can make them as specific and tangible as you like if that excites you. Use that to move into the vibration of your preference, and once you are in the vibration of your preference, utterly let go of any preconceived ideas. Even the ideas that you used as a kind of symbolic representation of the vibration that you prefer. Understanding that it is a limitation to hold on to that, you will then open yourself up to let the higher mind bring and crystallize for you a reality that is reflective of that vibration, even if it is different. It will be in alignment with the vibration that you have honed within yourself, refined within yourself through the visualizations. Now, sometimes the higher mind, trickster as it is, this is sometimes where the archetype of the trickster comes in. It will lead you down a path of moving through lessons and reflections to get you to let go of the negative beliefs that are in the way of you crystallizing the reality vibration that matches the vibration that you've been honing within yourself. Thusly, some of you have the experience of visualizing these wonderful lives and wonderful states, and then, as you say, it all hits the fan because it begins to reveal to you that which is necessary to clear and to let go so that you can receive the crystallization of the vibration that you've been honing. So these are the mechanics of manifestation in a nutshell. The idea being that you use the visualization to bring yourself into a state of being. Once in the state of being, you let go of that which you used as a symbolic representation of that state of being as the permission slip to move into that state of being. Thusly, you clear the slate, and now you allow the magic of the higher mind to do and work its wonders for you. As Seth might say, let framework 2 take care of the details. And allow yourself to be fluid enough to recognize that whatever happens is the unfolding of your path, even as previously you might have labeled certain events as limitations or impediments or blocks or brick walls. They are now arriving in your life because you have made a shift to a vibration that will reveal all that is no longer in alignment with you in that vibration. Just to use it in positive ways. Clear the decks, as it were, of the negative beliefs so that the higher mind can give you the wondrous reflection of the vibration that you've been honing. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
you will discover it can also make you dollars as well. Just to play with your language a bit. For many of you, visualize various forms of abundance. That's to reassure you that following your passion does connect you to the higher mind, which connects you to all the forms of abundance of the universe. So while you might have had the logical, rational approach been instilled in you as to how to make money in your world, you are learning that the magical approach can be, of course, not only more fun and more exciting and more passionate, but also more streamlined for your refining your connection to your higher mind. Thusly, manifestation can be very fast and rapid from that magical state, rather than banging things into place with the rational approach alone. Of course, realize there are many forms of abundance, but that is perhaps a topic for another time. So any other questions? So let us allow ourselves to sit here but briefly, and allow yourselves to feel the energy of the connections that are occurring to your higher minds. Know that each time you all come together for these kinds of gatherings, you are increasing the capacity and giving yourselves permission to have more contact with your higher minds in physical terms in your physical lives. We are creating links, bridges, connections, contact. Thus each of your lives will be different now that you have allowed yourself these connections, and each subsequent connections will become easier and easier. It will become a part of your lives. Thus any questions that you have can always be referred to your higher mind, for this is but a mirror reflection of the processes you are awakening to within yourselves. As you become increasingly conductive to the frequency of the higher mind, you will experience your lives changing and unfolding in miraculous ways. Therefore, use the magical approach. Use all portions of your being. And you will see that the grand symphony, the grand orchestration of who you are as an integrated being is infinitely more powerful than the segregative consciousness you have been trained into. And your lives will begin to flow with grace, ease, and lightness, and a light-hearted, miraculous touch that will absolutely astound your minds, which have grown accustomed to third density. And yet it will be the new normal upon your planet. So be the beacons of light for that new state of consciousness by simply being yourselves, not by making an effort, but by being who you truly are. With these words we leave you, but we never truly leave you. We are always with you, for we are you. And the separations are only made from your state of consciousness by the beliefs that you choose consciously or unconsciously. These transmissions are happening all the time. You have but to tune into it like you would tune a radio dial. For those of you that still know what a radio dial is. So with that, we wish you, as Seth used to say, a wonderful and a fond good day. Wow. It's always different. So thank you all for being a part of that.
Thank you.
How
So
do you
when you
feel?
chant, oh, go ahead.
Just
No.
said thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's very reflective, and we're all giving ourselves permission to be in these states. And you know, having you all witness this transformation makes it somehow more tangible. It's hard to even put into words, but it's just beautiful to be able to share it and to overcome my own limiting beliefs of wanting to hide this type of energy in the closet. And you know, it's like that old the phrase "coming out of the closet" is apropos here for it's like revealing the light that we are, and it's frightening sometimes. And then it's like we're giving ourselves permission of like, yes, it's okay. We want more of this.
So when you're channeling,
Mm-hmm.
are you aware of what you're saying, or are you off in other worlds, or what's happening for you?
So I am partially aware, but oftentimes it's like if you asked me to recount what was said, I would maybe hit some highlights, but it's like trying to remember a dream. So I might remember a portion here and there, but I couldn't just recite the whole thing back to you. And so it's always nice for me to work on the video because it gives me that reflective mirror of looking back at myself from another state of consciousness and seeing, oh, that's what the channeling was about. And, oh, you know, that I might apply that in my life as a personality self, you know? So it's transmission for me as well. So I'm just semi-conscious, more like in a dreamlike state, a very, very deep and profound daydream, you might say. And there's times when I've mentioned this before, I'll sometimes feel a little bit of a constriction around my personality. I'm learning that's actually letting go more and more each time I do this, which is part of why I so much appreciate, you know, your all's presence and support. It's because I'm learning to, you know, my personality is just kind of learning to relax. But in the beginning, it was much more like a certain question would get asked and I would feel myself kind of tighten up. And the personality level is like, oh, can I trust the answer? You know, but now I'm letting more and more of it just come through and just come what may, you know. So yeah, that's
fun to watch that develop.
It is, yeah. It's been exciting and nerve-wracking. I mean, I'll be honest and say that because, you know, if you're feeling a lot of fear to follow your passion, like, hey, you know, it's real. So I can definitely assure you that it's wonderful on the other side of it. But the experience of that fear it's tangible, it's real, it's there. So I don't want to pretend I don't have that because, you know, I do. I was nervous before this channeling, but a little bit less nervous than before the last channeling. So my personality is learning to recognize, you know, it's okay. You know, I won't be burned at the stake and I won't be, you know, persecuted. So, you know, it's all right. And, you know, even if I get negative comments now, it's on such a level that, you know, I've gotten so comfortable with it that I would be more easier to say like, well, you know, I'm not their audience. So, you know, if they don't want to like me, that's up to them. It doesn't necessarily have to reflect on me.
Mm-hmm. And then before you go into that state, what kinds of sensations are you experiencing? Or like, do you know, oh, hey, now's the time? Or are you kind of, I don't know, just what are you experiencing?
Yeah, it's a very gentle energy. And there's times when it just like pops open. But usually it comes in very gentle. And I just kind of sense when my hands are out here, I'm just kind of, it's like I almost sense that presence. And this is probably just a symbolic interpretation on my part, touching my hands. And I feel like click. And then I know it's okay to go. And sometimes even then my personality hesitates a little bit. Like, oh, let me take a few more breaths, make sure it's there. It's like jumping off a cliff a bit because once I start, it's like I'm jumped off the cliff, and then it's like, it's that lucid dream moment where like you jump and then you realize I can fly, you know, but you weren't quite sure you were going to be able to.
Right. Because sometimes I can see you speaking and I can tell that you're getting groups of concepts, and sometimes you're getting specific words, and you'll only be given half a sentence.
Yes.
And then you have to continue, and you just have to, in faith, open your mouth that the next word will come out, and it's congruent with what you've said before. But it's fun to watch because I know that feeling, but then you've overcome so much of it. So it's really exciting to watch that happen, and you just take that step of faith and you just keep moving forward, and
yes.
It's there every single time.
Yes. And I've been playing with that more, and or maybe I should say they've been playing with me more, where, you know, when I'm just channeling for myself, which I do almost daily, I'll literally like, you know, like when I really noticed it the most was I was doing this channeling, and it was like, and we have one more point to make, and I'm like, one more point, I have no idea what they're going to say, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it just unfolded, and it was a beautiful thing. Wouldn't have occurred to me. So I'm like, there was like that moment of like, you know, you can trust this. It will come. It will come.
Yes.
But yeah, that portion, that moment where you say it half a sentence and you just don't know where it's going, and you're like, do I do it? Do I go?
Yeah, you know they're having a good time with you.
and also the word cubicle farm, like for some reason I wanted to avoid it. But then I realized, like, no, that's what they want me to say. And I'm like, okay,
it's
well,
relevant.
Yeah, right. Because I was like, I could tell, like, my personality was trying to reword it in a different way, but that kind of also freezes the energy a bit and creates a hesitancy. And then I came back, I'm like, you know what, that's just the word. That's the word. I'm going to do the word, you know?
Yep.
So I'm
so glad you did.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, me too. It feels great on the other side.
I really resonated with the cubicle farm exercise.
Yeah.
I really did. It's going to be a new playground for me.
That's been coming to me a couple of times in my own personal session. It's come to me, but I had no idea that was going to be the topic today. But I noticed that sometimes they'll drop in certain things ahead of time, so to speak. And then it just things have a way of coming back around, but each time getting a little bit more expanded upon. And it's kind of like trusting that, you know, like I think one time they used the guitar metaphor, that it's like whatever metaphor comes through, it might kind of be unusual to me, but it might be relevant to somebody else. So trusting that as well. And so, okay, go ahead, Vanessa.
I think it's a brilliant metaphor, the cubicles. I really resonated with it today, and started seeing how it can be both like a micro concept, like the cubicles of my brain, my consciousness, my neurons and cells, but also cubicles of different realities, cubicles of different communities, the world, like, whoa!
Yes, it's very multidimensional, and it can be applied to the self, but also to the society at large as well, and the integration
Sorry. I was just going to say, I like it because it implies structure. I mean, that's appealing to us, physical reality.
And it's a structure that we've created and we've imposed, and then we've rigidized to the point where we believe the structure was a facet of reality rather than our own creation. And now we're coming back to realizing, oh, we created these walls and these barriers. Therefore, the structure is still relevant and useful, and yet we can change it because we created it. So there's more fluidity in the walls now.
And the cool thing about it is, even though it's the structure, it's confining, it's separating, it's open.
Yes.
And you can pop up and see what's going on.
I know. Yeah, when I first heard that metaphor, I'm just like, oh, that's brilliant, because you have that capacity to be here or there. And then you don't have to blow the structure up. You just literally just pop up and be like, oh, I just want to have a bigger perspective.
It kind of reminds me of the screen behind you, Tom.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see that. So, Mitzi, I was going to ask you if you're a channel yourself. It sounds like you are.
Well, I don't, everybody has different words for it, so I don't know if you would call it channeling. Just sometimes I know things or I have words for people. Sometimes information comes through, and sometimes I don't know if I'm supposed to share it or not. I don't know what to do with it. So it's kind of been on the back burner, just simmering, because I don't know what to do with it. And then I read a lot of the Seth books, but I'm not sure about the channeling. She goes so deep that she's not even aware of what's happening. That's why I wanted to know, where do you go and what is that like for you? Because I don't feel like I get quite that deep. So I guess that's for me to keep exploring and just see how deep I can go.
And actually, I think what's happening is that as we shift from third to fourth density, there isn't as much of a departure from our so-called normal consciousness to get to that level. So it's not going to feel as deep as a shift as Jane might have felt, because she was living in a different density. So as our personalities acclimate and raise the vibration, there's less of a leap that needs to take place to make the contact with the higher mind. And so eventually in a really high fourth density consciousness, what we call channeling will no longer be a big deal. Everyone's going to be channeling their higher minds, and it's just going to be the way it is. There's no depth or any shift, that really great shift that needs to take place. That's just the way we live. So I think part of that is that our personalities are now a bit more acclimated, and so the shift doesn't appear to be as deep as some of these original channels have experienced it to be.
You know, I'd like to mention that Seth said a lot of times that because Rob was there, he was kind of a grounding influence. And the same thing with Edgar Casey. He was able to go into a deep trance. He didn't know what he was saying when he was in the trance, because he had other people around him guiding him with their words, like a very deep hypnosis type of thing. And maybe that might be, because in the early sessions, I read a couple times in Rob's notes where Seth was explaining to Rob how to get Jane out of her trance, saying certain things so that she would come back.
Right.
So maybe we have kind of a built-in sense of not wanting to go too far if we're not surrounded by someone else that has that grounding capability. I don't know. What do you think? Huh?
Well, I mean, the first part that I said, but also there's different flavors of channeling and different styles. And, some people will go into deeper states than others. So I think there's a variety across people and across what your theme of exploration is. So some of that, comes into play as well. And, portions of it's a this and that, you know what I mean? So it's all true. It's all depends on one perspective. But that can be also that, once you have people around you to help ground you, maybe you can explore it in a different way. It all depends on your beliefs too, I suppose. If your personality is in a certain way, maybe having the reassurance of a significant other can be very grounding. So I think it's highly individual. So it's hard to make a blanket statement. There's flavors of all of what we said to be true in there for sure. All right.
It's just nice to have the group to be able to talk about these things. I think this is just the normal state of being. This should be the normal thing. And it has not been physical reality up to this point. So it's hard to talk about these things and develop this. So I really appreciate this group and appreciate you being willing to, kind of be the guinea pig and just put it out there, just see what happens with it. So thank you. Yeah. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you all, because the more we do this, the more it anchors this vibration and makes it the reality. So we're the creators, and here we are creating. So, this is how I want my life to be, is I want my life to be like this all the time. So, the more we follow our passion, act on our passion, the more we actually create these kind of connections with these kinds of people, and it just becomes more and more normal. In my life, this has definitely become more daily reality. And I think, all of us have that capacity. So, yeah.
From what I understand, if you get a group of people believing and talking and thinking about something, it becomes more than the sum of its parts. So this is really interesting to see where all this is going to go.
It's like a mastermind. We create a group consciousness bubble, a consensus reality. And so we have multiple of these bubble realities, and we get to choose which ones we participate in, and also which ones we co-create in. Well, participation is co-creation, but yeah. So yeah, thank you for that point. As we are literally creating a bubble in reality within which we all feel safe and comfortable to explore this, to explore more of ourselves. Well, all right. So thank you all for being here, and I appreciate it very much. And I believe that because Vanessa was anointed the moderator, I think you're the one who has to close it out.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
Okay, everybody. I got the power.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Tom. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. I look forward to our next gathering.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Holiday.
Bye.
Be well.